We know that overt racism is terrible. Most people know that. But covert racism, a lot of the time, is much harder to deal with. It's much more insidious, and therefore it's a lot harder to deal with. For me, overt racism is obvious racism. That could be the use of racial slurs to degrade somebody, or it could be targeted physical violence of someone solely based upon their race. I think most people agree that overt racism is a bad thing, most people. And as a result, they think that because they don't participate in overt racism, or they don't condone it, or they don't sanction it, they are not racist themselves or promoting any form of racism. And that's kind of where covert racism comes in. It's in the prejudice that exists between the lines, in the basic assumptions that people make, the images that you see and the ones that you don't see, and then the coded language people use that sometimes they don't even realize that they're using. So I'll run off a couple things. It's the fact that in a lot of TV shows and in Hollywood in general, it's hard to come by positive Black main characters in our biggest Hollywood blockbusters, and that stereotypical Black side characters are extremely prominent in entertainment. It's the fact that someone's first response to a video depicting police brutality against a Black person is asking what they did to deserve the use of force, instead of asking why force was used against them in the first place. It's like that invisible feeling of tension that some people feel when they're around Black people, where that means them speeding up their walk to their car, clutching their purse in the elevator, or calling the police when there's nothing illegal going on.
And there's a man, African American, who's a vice president. He's recording me and threatening me and my dog.
It's the fact that someone's first response to a well-spoken Black person is surprised that they're being articulate, or saying that they quote unquote talk white. I can't tell you how many times in high school I was told that I talked white because I was using correct grammar and I was articulate, instead of just acknowledging their words and ideas at face value. It's the disapproval of inappropriate haircuts, tattoos, earrings, etc., on the basis that they're unbecoming. And to speak on personal experience of that last one, I recently visited a restaurant in Baltimore, an open-air restaurant, nice restaurant, wearing a long-sleeve t-shirt and in gray sweatpants. This was literally 5 days ago on Saturday. And they told me that they usually don't let people in that are wearing athletic wear, even though I looked around and people were dressed pretty casually. And about 4 days later, a woman and her son, a Black son, went into that same restaurant, and the child was denied entry or access into the restaurant for wearing athletic gear, when there was a white child that was wearing the exact same get up with an athletic short sleeve t-shirt and shorts and tennis shoes. So, these things people don't think happen, or they think that they're small and they don't matter at all, but there are certain codes that apply to the Black people and don't apply to other people, and they manifest themselves in many ways. So we know that overt racism is terrible. Most people know that. But covert racism, a lot of the time, is much harder to deal with. It's much more insidious, and therefore it's a lot harder to deal with. So hopefully we're to the point in our conversation about race where people can agree on covert racism being bad. But I think the real progress exists when we find out how to get in between the lines to the daily basic assumptions that people don't even realize they make, that are the things that really promote systemic racism and inequality.